Hi, my name is Ann Householder. I loved Clifton from the very first time I visited in 2009 when I had just moved to Cincinnati after spending 22 hours here on an interview for my medical residency. I did a great job showing up on Sundays when there happened to be a potluck, and I was always sincerely and enthusiastically invited to stay, sat with, and talked to by people who seemed like ordinary members of the church, not some special hospitality folks. I had moved around enough and visited enough churches, usually Methodist ones, to know that this was a very special place. But I didn't join Clifton for another 10 years. I worked most Sundays, and I found churches with evening services and young adult women's Bible studies, but I never forgot about the positive experience I had had at Clifton. Maybe if my life had taken a more typical path towards marriage and children, I never would have come back, but it didn't. After I graduated from residency, my brother had a major mental health crisis and he lived with me for 2 years. During that time, I began to volunteer weekly at Lydia's House, initially a shelter for women and children experiencing homelessness and economic distress in the Catholic worker tradition. As my brother got better and looked to move on, I looked to live out my beliefs in radical Christian discipleship that had started during my master's work in theology before medical school. At Lydia's house, I found a place where I could eat at a big family table, welcome babies into the world, make birthday cakes for 7-year-olds, have long conversations with women imagining a better future for their children, and found an intentional community of care and support for myself as well. But after 4 years as a residential volunteer, as the staff grew and we moved into also providing long-term supportive housing, it got harder for me to be a residential volunteer and also work full-time. I moved a few blocks away next to one of the founders of Lydia's House. I moved in with Casey, my boyfriend, Elsa, his dog, and we adopted Kit, the Pomsky that comes to outdoor events. I went back to my weekly volunteer shifts at Lydia's House, but I now had a piece missing. My church experience was not meeting my needs for radical Christian community. It was right for the right people, but it just didn't quite spark a prophetic imagination of what I thought a church should be: to stand up for justice, return hate with love, and practice radical hospitality. But I remembered Clifton as a place that maybe dreamed the same dreams I was dreaming. Most importantly, Clifton embodies what my favorite theologian calls an imagining a future that's bigger than the past. Clifton nourishes the next generation of Christian leaders who will be more diverse and inclusive than our past. It pulls even our whole denomination towards a future that acknowledges God's call of ordained ministry is not limited by sexual or gender identities. And right now on Church Council, we're doing the hard and intentional work of imagining a church that may or may not be bigger numerically, but will always be working to create a bigger, more just, and healthier future for all our people. This is the kind of church I've always wanted to be a part of. And thank you for being part of that with me.